Before we begin, let me ask you something. What would you do if your mother-in-law smashed a 6-tier wedding cake into your face so hard she broke your nose? While you were 8 months pregnant, in front of 400 people? Most women would cry, run away, give up.
You are
I did none of those
absolutely
things.
useless. Look
Because
what
that
you've done
cake
to my
attack,
floor.
I'm sorry,
it was
I didn't
not
mean
the
to.
beginning of my
Sorry
nightmare.
doesn't clean the mess,
It was
does
the
it?
end. For
Did you
6
see
months,
that?
my billionaire mother-in-law tortured me, starved me,
She looks
humiliated
absolutely
me,
devastated.
tried to steal my baby. She thought she was
Consider this a
destroying a
lesson.
poor orphan nurse who dared to marry her son. She had no idea I was documenting everything,
Look what
building a
she's done.
case,
No,
planning
this
her
can't be
complete
happening.
destruction.
Please,
And
I
when she
didn't do
finally
it.
attacked me
You
that
have the
night,
wrong person.
my husband did something that left her in handcuffs, in prison, and completely destroyed. This is the true story of how I survived a monster-in-law from hell. And trust me, you will want to hear every single word. Stay until the end. Because the revenge, it was absolutely perfect. Let me tell you about the night my life changed forever. Not the night I met my husband, not the night I got pregnant, the night my mother-in-law tried to destroy me in front of 400 people, and my billionaire husband did something that left her completely and utterly destroyed. But I am getting ahead of myself. The ballroom at the Grand Riverside Hotel was packed that evening. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light over women in designer gowns and men in custom tuxedos. I stood there at 8 months pregnant, wearing a simple maternity dress I had found on sale for $289. My mother-in-law, Vivian Whitmore, wore a custom Oscar de la Renta gown that cost more than I made in 6 months as an emergency room nurse. She was walking toward me with a 6-tier wedding cake in her hands, not carrying it carefully, charging with it. Everything happened in slow motion. I saw her face twisted with rage. I saw my husband Marcus across the room, starting to move. I saw the cake coming toward my face with brutal force. Then impact. The metal serving platter underneath hit my nose first. I heard the crack, then frosting and blood mixing together. Then I was falling backward, my hands instinctively going to protect my belly. I hit the marble floor hard. I heard screaming. My own voice. The baby. Olga, the baby. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone yelled to call 911. I felt wetness spreading across my dress, and I did not know if it was blood or if my water had broken or both. Then I heard the silence. 10 full seconds of absolute silence as 400 people held their breath. And then I heard my husband's voice, cold as winter ice, deadly as a blade. I gave you 3 months, Mother. I looked up through my tears and blood. Marcus stood there, transformed into someone I had never seen before. His face was carved from stone. His eyes were lethal. Vivian stepped back, confused. What? 3 months to stop, Marcus said. You did not. Now I destroy you. But let me back up. Let me tell you how I got here. Let me tell you about the 6 months of systematic torture that led to this moment. And let me tell you about the revenge we planned together, my husband and I, that would leave his mother in prison and her entire world in ashes. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I am 28 years old, and this is the story of how I survived a monster-in-law from hell. I met Marcus Whitmore on a Tuesday night and at 2:30 in the morning in the emergency room at Mercy General Hospital. He came in clutching his chest, his face pale, convinced he was having a heart attack. I was the trauma nurse assigned to his bay. I had been on my feet for 10 hours already, dealing with 2 gunshot wounds, a car accident victim, and a drug overdose. I did not have time for wealthy men who panicked over stress. Mr. Whitmore, I said, checking his chart and hooking him up to the EKG machine. Your heart rhythm looks normal. When did the pain start? An hour ago, he said. His voice was tight with fear. During a board meeting, I could not breathe. I watched the EKG reading scroll across the monitor. Perfect sinus rhythm. Heart rate elevated but not dangerous. I took his blood pressure. 140/90. High but not crisis level. Mr. Whitmore, I said gently, you are not having a heart attack. You are having a panic attack. He stared at me. I do not get panic attacks. Your body is telling you to slow down, I said. Maybe you should listen. Something in his face changed. Relief mixed with embarrassment. I feel like an idiot. Don't I said. Panic attacks feel exactly like heart attacks. You did the right thing coming in, but you need to address the stress in your life or this will happen again. I showed him some breathing exercises, explained the physical symptoms, gave him resources for stress management. I treated him exactly like I treated every other patient who came through my ER, which meant I did not fawn over him or treat him special, or even recognize that his last name was on half the buildings in the city. Later, I learned that was exactly why he came back. The next morning, Marcus Whitmore walked into the ER waiting room carrying 2 coffees from the expensive place down the street. "You saved my life last night," he said. "Can I buy you breakfast?" I looked at him skeptically. "I did not save your life. You had anxiety." "You made me feel human," he said. "That is rare in my world. Please, just breakfast." I should have said no. I should have seen all the red flags. Wealthy man, vulnerable moment, nurse who helped him. But I was so tired, and he had kind eyes, and I had not been on a date in 2 years. "One breakfast," I said. That breakfast turned into a walk in the park. That walk turned into pizza and a bad movie. That bad movie turned into late-night phone calls and morning texts and 3 months of the happiest I had been since my parents died when I was 15. I need to tell you about my background because it matters for everything that came after. I grew up in foster care. My parents died in a car crash the week before my 16th birthday. No other family. I went into the system and bounced between 8 different homes in 3 years. Some were okay, some were not. None were home. I aged out at 18 with $200, a garbage bag of possessions, and a determination to never depend on anyone again. I worked 3 jobs while putting myself through nursing school. I lived on ramen and hope. I graduated with $52,000 in student loans and a job in the emergency room where I learned that people at their worst needed someone who gave a damn. I never had a family. I swore that when I had kids, I would give them everything I never had. Stability, safety, love. So when I missed my period at the 3-month mark of dating Marcus, I was terrified. I took the test in the bathroom at work. 2 pink lines. I sat on that bathroom floor for 20 minutes trying to figure out what to do. I barely knew this man. Yes, we were happy together. Yes, he treated me with more respect than anyone ever had. But a baby? That was forever. That was everything. When I finally worked up the courage to ask him to meet me, I practiced my speech 12 times. I would tell him I was pregnant. I would say he did not owe me anything. I would figure it out alone if I had to. But when I sat across from him in that park where we had our first walk, he took one look at my face and said, "You are pregnant." I stared at him. "How did you know?" "I hoped," he said, and then he smiled. "Sarah, I love you. This is fast, but I am 34 years old. I know what I want. Marry me." "You do not have to," I started to say. "I want to," he said. "We are having a baby. Let's be a family." He pulled a small ring box from his pocket. Simple diamond ring. Beautiful but modest. Later I learned he chose it carefully, thinking about my student loans and my modest income and not wanting to make me uncomfortable. I said yes. I cried. I thought I had found my happy ending. I had no idea I was walking into a war. Marcus insisted I meet his family right away. "They will love you," he promised. The Whitmore estate sat on 5 acres in the most expensive neighborhood in the city. The house was 8,000 square feet of marble and crystal and old money. I drove my 2008 Honda Civic with 180,000 miles through gates that probably cost more than my car. A butler opened the door. An actual butler. I had never seen a butler outside of movies. Marcus squeezed my hand. "Ready?" I was not ready. Every instinct I had developed in foster care, every survival skill that had kept me safe, was screaming at me to run, but I loved him, and I loved the baby growing inside me. So I walked through that door. Vivian Whitmore descended the curved staircase like a queen greeting peasants. She was 58 years old, perfectly maintained, wearing a designer suit that cost more than my monthly rent. Her smile was bright and sharp as a knife. "So," she said, looking me up and down, "you are the nurse, Vio. Not nice to meet you, not welcome, just you are the nurse," with enough emphasis on the word to make it sound like an insult. Yes, ma'am, I said. I work in the emergency room at Mercy General. How practical, Vivian said. Not financially rewarding, I imagine, but emotionally fulfilling, I am sure. Marcus's sister Blair appeared behind her mother, 31 years old, 520,000 Instagram followers, and a phone already out recording our meeting. Dinner was torture. The formal dining room had a table that sat 14 people. Tonight, there were only 4 of us. I did not know which fork to use. Vivian watched me like a hawk watches a mouse. Sarah, she said, cutting her salmon into precise pieces. Marcus mentioned exciting news? Mom, Marcus said, his voice full of pride. Sarah is pregnant. We are getting married. The silence lasted 10 full seconds. I watched Vivian's face transform. Shock, then fury, then something worse. Then she rearranged her features into a smile. How wonderful, she said. And how far along are you? 3 months, I said. Vivian's eyes flicked to Marcus. 3 months, and you have been dating for 3 months, I said quietly. How remarkably convenient. The accusation hung in the air even though she had not said the words directly. Marcus's hand found mine under the table. Blair typed something on her phone. 30 seconds later, I heard notification pings from around the room. She had just posted to her Instagram story. Family dinner surprises with a pregnant woman emoji and a grimacing face emoji. Excuse me, I said, standing carefully. Where is the bathroom? Vivian pointed down the hall with one perfectly manicured finger. I locked myself in the bathroom and tried to breathe. This was fine. This was normal. Future mother-in-law nerves. It would get better. Then I heard voices in the hallway outside. Vivian and Blair. They did not know I could hear them. A nurse, Vivian hissed. An orphan nurse, pregnant after 3 months. Mom, what if she actually loves him? Blair said. Love, please. She saw dollar signs and spread her legs. And now we are stuck with her unless what? Unless we make her life so unbearable she leaves voluntarily. Marcus will be heartbroken, but he will recover. He always does what I tell him eventually. What about the baby? We will get custody, hire the best lawyers, prove she is unfit, foster care background, mental health issues. Easy. I sat on that cold bathroom floor with my hand over my mouth to keep from sobbing. This was not future mother-in-law nerves. This was war. And I had just walked into enemy territory carrying the most precious cargo of my life. When I returned to the dining room, I smiled. I made small talk. I pretended I had not heard anything. But that night, lying in bed in my tiny apartment, I made a decision. I would win them over. I would prove I was good enough. I would show them I loved Marcus for him, not his money. It was the biggest mistake I ever made. I should have run. I should have told Marcus everything. I should have protected myself and my baby. Instead, I stayed silent. And Vivian Whitmore took that silence as permission to destroy me. Marcus insisted on an engagement party. I want to celebrate you, he said. I want everyone to see how happy we are. I tried to talk him out of it. Maybe we could keep it small, just close friends. No, he said firmly. You deserve to be celebrated. Mom said she would help plan it. That should have been my second warning sign, but then Marcus was so excited, so determined to show me off, that I did not have the heart to refuse. Vivian threw herself into planning with enthusiasm that should have terrified me. She called me 3 times a day with updates. Venue booked at the country club. Guest list at 150 people. Caterer arranged. Flowers ordered. What about my guest list? I asked. Oh, sweetie, Vivian said in that saccharine voice that made my skin crawl. Just send me the names and addresses. I will handle everything. I sent her 12 names. 3 former foster siblings I had stayed in touch with. 8 nurses from the emergency room. Rachel Torres, my supervisor and the closest thing I had to a mother figure. The engagement party was on a Saturday evening. I used $300 I had been saving for baby supplies to buy a dress at Marshall's. Cream-colored, simple, elegant. I thought I looked nice. When I walked into the country club ballroom, I realized I looked poor. Every woman there wore designer gowns that cost thousands of dollars. Diamonds dripped from necks and wrists and ears. I watched their eyes slide over my discount store dress with barely concealed contempt. Marcus did not notice. He was proud of me, introducing me to everyone, his hand never leaving the small of my back. "Sarah, this is my mother's friend Martha," he would say. "Martha, this is my beautiful fiancée, Sarah." Martha, a doctor's wife in her 50s, looked me up and down. "A nurse, how noble." "I work in the emergency room," I said, trying to sound confident. "Trauma cases mostly." "How interesting," Martha said. "So you see gunshot wounds, drug addicts?" Marcus must have told you we do not really encounter that element in our circles. The message was clear. I was from a different class, a different world. I did not belong. Blair and her influencer friends were worse. They took selfies and ignored me until one of them, a blonde woman with lip fillers, turned to me and said, "Wait, you are the pregnant one?" "I am Sarah," I said. "How far along?" "4 months." I watched her count on her fingers, doing the math. Her eyes widened. "And you have been dating?" Blair jumped in with fake concern. "Stop it, you guys. They are in love." "Right, Sarah?" She snapped a photo of my uncomfortable face before I could stop her. 10 seconds later, it was on Instagram with the caption, "When the math does not add up," followed by a thinking face emoji and a baby emoji. Then Chloe Hampton arrived. I had heard about Chloe, Marcus's ex-girlfriend from 5 years ago, daughter of Senator Richard Hampton. Yale Law School graduate, everything Vivian had wanted for her son. "Sarah," Chloe said, gliding over in a gown that probably cost more than my car. "Marcus has told me so much about you." "He has?" I asked, surprised. "Well, not Marcus. Vivian. She has been keeping me updated." That should have been red flag number 3. Why would Vivian be talking to Marcus's ex-girlfriend about me? Chloe touched my belly without asking permission. "How exciting. You must be thrilled to be marrying up." I stiffened. "I am marrying the man I love." "Of course," Chloe said, smiling like a snake. "That is what I said." Then came the toast. Vivian took the microphone. The room quieted. 150 people turned to listen. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate Marcus and Sarah," she began. "My son has always had such a generous heart. Even as a child, he brought home stray animals." Laughter rippled through the crowd. I felt my face burning. "Sarah, you are getting some precious tonight," Vivian continued. "A family, something you have never had before." The room went silent. Everyone understood the cruelty in those words. "Marcus could have married anyone," Vivian said. "Doctors, lawyers, women from good families. But he chose you." She paused, letting that sink in. "I suppose we all have unexpected surprises in life. To the happy couple, may they have everything they deserve." The emphasis on deserve dripped with venom. Marcus stood abruptly. "That is enough, Mother." "Darling, I am complimenting her," Vivian said innocently. "Outside now." He grabbed her arm and escorted her to a private room. I followed, my heart pounding. Inside, Marcus turned on her with fury I had never seen. "If you ever speak about Sarah's background again, I will cut you off. Financially. Completely." Vivian laughed. "You would not dare. You called her a stray animal in front of 150 people. Try me." "Marcus, I am trying to protect you from a girl who got pregnant to trap you." "We are done here," Marcus said. "Sarah, let us go." In the car, I tried to warn him. "You should not have threatened her." "Defended you?" "Threatened her," I said. "You made an enemy." "She was already your enemy." "But now she is desperate," I said. "And desperate people are dangerous." Marcus took my hand. "She is my mother. She will calm down." I looked out the window at the darkness rushing past. Marcus still did not see it. The war had just begun. The wedding was scheduled for 1 month later. Small ceremony, Marcus said, just family and close friends. Vivian insisted on buying my dress. "My gift to you," she said, "and let me do this." I did not want to accept, but Marcus squeezed my hand. "Let her try, Sarah. Maybe it is an olive branch." The bridal salon was exclusive, by appointment only. Vivian and Blair arrived with champagne. "We have the dress you selected, Mrs. Whitmore," the consultant said. She brought out the most hideous dress I had ever seen. It was the wrong size, too small, emphasizing my pregnant belly in the worst way. The cut was unflattering. The fabric looked cheap despite the expensive price tag. The color washed out my complexion completely. "It is perfect," Vivian exclaimed. "Try it on." In the dressing room, I stared at my reflection. This was a trap. If I wore this dress, I would look terrible in all my wedding photos. If I refused it, Vivian would tell everyone I was ungrateful. I came out. Blair took photos. "For Instagram, hashtag bride-to-be." "Thank you, Vivian," I forced myself to say. "It is very generous." That night, I showed Marcus the photos. His face fell. "That is not really your style. Your mother bought it. You do not have to wear it." "I cannot afford another dress," I said, "and if I reject this one, she will say I am ungrateful. I will buy you whatever you want." "No," I said firmly. "That is not the point. She is testing me, and I am not going to fail." I wore the dress. I looked terrible. Vivian smiled the whole time. 2 weeks before the wedding, I arrived at the venue for our walkthrough. The manager looked confused. "I am sorry, we have no reservation under Whitmore." "That is impossible," I said. "Marcus's mother booked it 2 weeks ago." He checked his system. "I see an inquiry, but it was never confirmed, and we are fully booked for the next 6 months." I called 3 other venues, all suddenly, mysteriously fully booked. Vivian had called each one and paid them to refuse us. I could not prove it. It all looked legitimate. Booking errors, unfortunate timing. I found a venue myself, the community center where I volunteered, tutoring kids from foster care. Plain, humble, but meaningful to me. "Are you sure?" Marcus asked. "I can find something nicer." "This is where I helped kids who had nothing," I said. "Where people showed up for each other. This is more real than any country club." Marcus looked at me with such love that I almost forgot about Vivian's sabotage. Almost. The day before the wedding, Vivian's assistant called each person on my guest list. "The wedding has been postponed due to the bride's health complications," the assistant said. "We will notify you of the new date." Half my guests did not show up. On my wedding day, I walked down the aisle alone. No father, no family. My side of the venue had 6 people. Marcus's side had 120. The visual was humiliating. One side packed with society elite, the other nearly empty. Blair posted photos in real time. Guess whose side has literally nobody? With a grimacing face emoji and a hashtag wedding fail. But when Marcus turned to watch me walk toward him, none of that mattered. His eyes filled with tears. He mouthed, "I love you." I made it through the ceremony. I said my vows with my hand on my belly. "Marcus, you have given me the family I always dreamed of. I promise to love you and protect this family with everything I have." Then came the reception. Vivian stood to give a toast. My stomach dropped. "I would like to say a few words about my new daughter-in-law," she began. Here it comes, I thought. "Sarah has such determination," Vivian said. "Coming from foster care, working her way through nursing school. It is admirable." People smiled. It sounded sweet. Not many girls from her background would have the confidence to marry so far above their station. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "But Marcus has always had a big heart for charity cases," Vivian continued. "And Sarah, you are getting a gift most girls from your world never receive. A real family." She emphasized real like a slap. "I hope you appreciate what you are gaining. After all, Marcus could have had anyone. Doctors, lawyers, women from established families. But he chose you." She raised her glass. "To Sarah. May you always remember where you came from and how fortunate you are." The applause was awkward and scattered. I sat frozen, tears streaming down my face. Marcus stood. "Mother, that was completely inappropriate." "Darling, I am praising her resilience." "You just humiliated my wife on our wedding day." "If she feels humiliated, perhaps she is too sensitive for this family." I stood and walked out. Marcus found me in the hallway sobbing. "I cannot do this," I said. "She will never accept me." "Then we will not see them," Marcus said. "We will build our own life. You cannot cut off your only family. Watch me." We left our own reception early. Marcus announced we were leaving for our honeymoon, and when we returned, we would be establishing boundaries. Vivian smiled as we left. She thought she was winning. The honeymoon was 2 weeks in a cabin in Vermont. All Marcus could book on short notice, but it was perfect. No society people, no mother, just us. I feel like I can breathe for the first time in months, I told Marcus, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset. When we get back, we are moving across the country if we have to, Marcus said. I laughed, but part of me wondered if he was serious. For 2 weeks, we pretended we lived in a different world. Marcus cooked breakfast while I sat at the table watching him. We took walks in the woods, holding hands, talking about baby names and nursery colors. He would kneel down and talk to my belly. Hey, baby girl, your dad is here. I will always protect you. I believed him. I believed we would find a way to make this work. On day 13, Marcus's phone rang. His Uncle James. Marcus, your mother had a health scare. Heart palpitations. She is asking for you to email. I watched Marcus's face go pale. Is it serious? I do not know, but you should come back. Marcus looked at me apologetically. We should go home early. Is she really sick? I asked. I do not know, but I cannot ignore it. We packed and drove back that night. Later, I would learn it was a lie. Vivian was fine. She just wanted us back where she could control us. When we arrived at my apartment building, there was an eviction notice on the door. Building sold, I read aloud. All tenants have 30 days to vacate. Marcus put his arm around me. We will find something. But we could not. Every apartment in our budget was suddenly rented. Landlords had concerns about baby noise. After 3 weeks of searching, we had 10 days until eviction and no options. I was 6 months pregnant, showing significantly, exhausted, terrified. What are we going to do? I asked Marcus, crying in our nearly empty apartment. That was when Vivian called. I heard about Sarah's apartment situation, she said to Marcus. How awful. I could hear her voice through the phone, sweet as poisoned honey. Why don't you both stay at the estate? Vivian continued. Just temporarily, until the baby comes and you find the right place. Mom, I do not think that is a good idea, Marcus said. Marcus, your wife is 6 months pregnant. Where else will she go? A shelter? The trap was perfect. She had backed us into a corner. No, I said immediately. Anywhere but there. Sarah, be reasonable, Marcus said. You are pregnant. We need stability. She will make my life hell. I will not let her. I will be there. We will set boundaries. Marcus, please. What choice do we have? I looked around my tiny apartment, the eviction notice, my swollen belly, the exhaustion in Marcus's eyes. Fine, I said, but the second we can leave, we leave. Moving into the Whitmore estate was like walking into a prison. Vivian showed us to the smallest guest room, twin bed, broken air conditioning, window facing the busy street. I'm afraid the larger rooms are being renovated, Vivian said. This will have to do. Marcus frowned. Mom, this room is tiny, and there is no air conditioning. Well, you cannot stay in your old room. That is Blair's storage now. The message was clear. We were not family. We were unwelcome guests. The next morning, I found a list of house rules posted on the refrigerator. Kitchen use, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. only. No guests without 48 hours notice. Quiet hours, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. All meals prepared by staff on schedule. These rules make it impossible for me to live here, I told Marcus. I will talk to her. But when Marcus confronted Vivian, she just smiled. Darling, these rules are for everyone. Sarah is not being singled out. The torture started small. Monday morning, I made breakfast before my 6 a.m. shift. Vivian appeared in her silk robe. The staff prepares all meals in this house, she said. She took my plate and dumped it in the trash. We have standards here. Wednesday, I asked the staff for a sandwich. The cook looked uncomfortable. I am sorry, Mrs. Whitmore said no special requests. I skipped lunch that day. Friday, I tried to use the kitchen during the allowed time. Vivian was there with her friends, baking. Oh, Sarah, we are in here now. Come back later. I stopped eating at home. I bought food on my way to and from the hospital. The room situation was worse. Summer heat made the space unbearable. 85 degrees at night. I could not sleep. The street noise continued until 2 a.m. Marcus found me at 3 in the morning sitting in my car in the driveway. It is cooler out here, I explained. This is insane, he said. I am talking to Mother tomorrow. The next day, Marcus confronted Vivian in her study. I listened outside the door. You need to stop, Marcus said. The room, the food, all of it. Stop what? Maintaining my household? You are making Sarah miserable, deliberately. Marcus, if Sarah is unhappy here, perhaps she should look harder for an apartment. I am providing free housing. She is ungrateful. She is my wife, and I am your mother. The question is, who matters more? There was a long pause. I held my breath. Sarah matters more, Marcus said. You need to accept that. Oh, I accept it, but you are choosing her over your family, over your company, over everything your father built. Dad would have loved Sarah. Your father understood legacy. That girl will destroy everything. I heard Marcus walk toward the door. I stepped back. He found me in the hallway. I defended you. I know, I said, but she is not going to stop. Then we leave. Tonight. With what money, I asked. Where will we go? Marcus did not have an answer. That night, my phone rang. The hospital. My blood pressure was dangerously high. I needed to come in immediately. At the hospital, Dr. Rachel Torres met me in the exam room. She was wearing her ER director badge, which meant this was serious. My blood pressure reading was 160 over 105. Sarah, at 28 weeks, this blood pressure could cause placental abruption, the OB doctor said. You could lose the baby. Terror flooded through me. What do I need to do? Reduce stress immediately. What is going on in your life? Rachel pulled me aside after the doctor left. You are living with them, are you not? I do not have a choice. You have a baby to protect. Whatever is happening there is literally killing her. I started crying. His mother will not stop, and I cannot ask Marcus to choose between us. Rachel grabbed my shoulders. Stop. Listen to me. You document everything, every incident, every insult, dates, times witnesses. Why? Because when this escalates, and it will, you need proof. She handed me a journal. Write it all down tonight. Do you think it will get worse? Honey, people like Vivian do not stop until they win or they are destroyed, and you cannot let her win. Something shifted in me that day. I stopped being a victim. I started being a strategist. When Marcus picked me up, I told him about the blood pressure, about the danger to the baby. Then we are moving out today, he said. Marcus, wait, I have an idea, but you have to trust me. What idea? Your mother wants me gone. Fine. Let us give her what she wants. What? Let us make her think she is winning. Let her get comfortable, cruel, and we document everything. Marcus stared at me. Sarah, she is hurting you. She is hurting our baby, and I want her destroyed. Completely. Do you? I watched something change in his face. My kind, gentle husband transformed into something harder, something protective and fierce. Tell me what you need, he said. And that was when we started planning her destruction. Marcus hired a private investigator the next day. If she is this comfortable being cruel in her own home, she must be sloppy elsewhere, he said. I showed him my journal, 2 weeks of documentation, every incident, every cruel word, every deliberate act of sabotage. Marcus read it with his jaw clenched. She dumped your food? Told the staff to starve you? Sarah, why did you not tell me all of this? Because I needed you to see it yourself, to be sure. He looked at me with new respect. You were gathering evidence. I was protecting our baby and protecting you from having to choose. I already chose you. But now we both choose to destroy her. 1 week later, the private investigator came back with a folder full of evidence. Mr. Whitmore, your mother has bigger problems than being mean to your wife, he said. He showed us bank records, fake vendor invoices, offshore account transfers. Vivian had been embezzling from the Whitmore Foundation for 8 years. $2.4 million from the charity Marcus's father had built to help sick children. She has been stealing from Dad's charity, Marcus said, his voice hollow. There is more, the investigator said. Tax fraud, unreported income. The IRS will be very interested, and I found 3 former household staff members willing to testify about her abuse. She has done this before. Marcus reached for his phone. I'm calling the DA right now. Wait, I said. Wait, when? Because if you turn her in now, she will lawyer up. Rich people do not go to prison. But if we catch her red-handed in public with witnesses, you want to set a trap. I want her destroyed so completely she can never hurt another person. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, the foundation gala is in 6 weeks. 400 guests. Press, politicians. Perfect, I said. But we need to let her think she is winning first. We need her comfortable enough to make mistakes. For 6 weeks, I have to watch her hurt you and pretend I am conflicted? Can you do it? For our daughter? Marcus gripped my hands. For you and our daughter, I will do anything. The next morning at breakfast, Marcus had his first argument with me in front of his mother. It was staged, but Vivian did not know that. Sarah, you are being unreasonable, Marcus said, his voice sharp. I just think we should look harder for an apartment, I said, playing my part. Where? We have looked everywhere. Somewhere. Anywhere but here. We do not have the money right now, Marcus said. He glanced at his mother, who was pretending to read the newspaper. Maybe we need to stay here longer than we thought. I let my face crumple. Fine. I left the table. Vivian's smile was small, but triumphant. Over the next few weeks, we played our parts perfectly. Marcus seemed torn between his mother and his wife. I seemed defeated and broken. We argued in front of Vivian. I cried. Marcus hesitated when defending me, all while documenting everything. Marcus installed hidden cameras in the common areas, legal in our state with one-party consent. I recorded conversations on my phone. Rachel documented every stress-related medical visit. Vivian grew bolder, more cruel. She thought she was winning. Blair announced she was throwing me a baby shower. Let me do this, Sarah, she said with fake sweetness. Every woman deserves a baby shower. I knew it was a trap, but I said yes, because we needed footage. The baby shower was at the country club. 75 guests, all Vivian's society friends, pink and gold decorations, expensive catering. I arrived with a recording device in my purse. The gift opening was a calculated humiliation. Martha, Vivian's friend, handed me a box of used baby clothes. These are from my grandchildren. No need to waste money on new things for someone who might not stick around. Blair gave me parenting books. The title read Parenting for First-Timers from Difficult Backgrounds. I thought this might help, Blair said, since you do not have a mom to teach you. Vivian's gift was a donation receipt. Sarah, dear, I made a donation to the foster care system in your name, so other girls like you can find homes. The implication was clear. I was damaged goods. Then Chloe Hampton walked in. Chloe, Vivian exclaimed, what a wonderful surprise. Vivian invited me, Chloe said to me. She thought you might want someone sophisticated to show you the ropes. Chloe told the whole room about dating Marcus, about how Vivian had been planning their engagement, about how I had interrupted everything with my unexpected pregnancy. But I am sure you are nice, Chloe said to me. Marcus has always had a soft spot for projects. I could have exploded. Instead, I killed her with kindness. Chloe, it must be hard seeing Marcus married to someone else. I'm sorry. She blinked, confused. But he chose me, I continued, and our baby. I hope you can be happy for us. Some of the guests actually looked impressed by my grace. But then Vivian spoke loudly enough for me to hear. Chloe is still single, you know. If things do not work out, it is not too late to fix mistakes. Marcus, playing his part, hesitated. He did not immediately defend me. My face showed perfect wounded devastation. Inside, I was thinking, got you. Keep talking. My phone recorded every word. After the shower, I felt severe cramping in the bathroom. Blood. Rachel rushed me to the hospital. Possible placental issues, she told Marcus. She needs an ultrasound immediately. In the car, Marcus broke character. This is my fault. I should have stopped this weeks ago. I gripped his hand. No, we are almost there. 4 more weeks until the gala. If we lose her, we will not, but your mother needs to think she is close to winning. Promise me you will stay strong. Marcus had tears running down his face. I hate this. I hate seeing you hurt. Then help me make sure she can never hurt anyone again. At the hospital, the ultrasound showed the baby was okay, but the placenta was showing stress. One more major stress event could trigger early labor or worse. Rachel pulled Marcus aside. This needs to end, now. 4 more weeks, Marcus said. Have a plan. The plan might kill the baby. Then we move up a timeline. The gala is in 4 weeks. We do it then. The final month was the hardest. A fake CPS letter arrived saying they would investigate my fitness as a mother due to my foster care background. It was forged, easily proven fake, but the damage was done. Vivian made sure everyone saw it. Marcus had to travel for business. Fabricated emergency. Leaving me alone with Vivian was part of the plan, but it was terrifying. The first night alone, Vivian sat across from me at dinner. You know, dear, it's not too late, she said. Too late for what? To leave. I will make sure you are taken care of. $500,000, enough to start over. But the baby stays with Marcus. I was recording this conversation. You are offering me money to abandon my child? I am offering you a way out. You will never fit here. You know it. No. Then you will regret it. The next week, Vivian invited Chloe to the house for dinner without telling me. I came home from a hospital shift to find Chloe sitting in the living room. But something unexpected happened. Chloe pulled me aside. I need to talk to you. About what? Vivian has been calling me for months, telling me Marcus was unhappy, that you trapped him, that he was going to leave you. And you believed her? I wanted to. I love him. But tonight, the way she talks about you, Sarah, she is trying to break up your marriage. She asked me to seduce him. Well, tonight, while you are at work. She will have you come home early and catch us. I stared at her. Will you do it? No, I am a lot of things, but I am not a homewrecker. Vivian is unhinged, and you are going to need a witness. Can you testify about this? Chloe pulled out her phone. Text chain from Vivian. Spend time with Marcus tonight. Sarah works until 11. Perfect timing. If he resists, remind him of old time. Smoking gun evidence. I am an attorney, Chloe said. I will document everything. Our alliance expanded. 3 days before the gala, Marcus and I met in our tiny room to review the plan one final time. I have everything, Marcus said. Board votes lined up, police contacts ready, attorney prepared to file charges. All we need is the public incident. She will give it to us, I said. I guarantee it. How do you know? Because she thinks she has already won. Marcus looked at me, 36 weeks pregnant, dark circles under my eyes from stress and lack of sleep. You are the strongest person I have ever known, he said. We are strong together. The night before the gala, I lay awake feeling my daughter move inside me. Just one more day, baby girl, I whispered. One more day, and we end this. I did not know that the ending would be even more spectacular than we planned. The Grand Riverside Hotel ballroom glittered like something from a movie. 400 guests in formal wear, crystal chandeliers, press pool in the designated area. Everything was perfect. I wore a simple maternity gown I had bought for $300, elegant but modest. Vivian wore custom Oscar de la Renta worth $25,000. The visual contrast was intentional. Marcus had spent the day setting up. Uncle James sat at a table with board members who had agreed to vote against Vivian. 2 plainclothes police detectives mingled in the crowd. His attorney waited outside with pre-signed restraining orders. Hidden cameras captured every angle of the room. Everything was ready. Vivian gave the opening speech. She thanked donors and praised the charity work with no hint of irony, despite the millions she had stolen. And special thanks to my daughter-in-law, Sarah, who is here despite being ready to deliver any moment. She made it sound like I was attention-seeking by showing up. I stood and waved with a sweet smile. Then I whispered to Marcus, "It is time. Start the clock." Marcus nodded to Uncle James. The dominoes began to fall. During dinner, Blair was supposed to play a tribute video to Marcus's late father. Instead, the screens went dark. Then a video began to play. It showed me, or someone who looked exactly like me, in what appeared to be a therapy session. Deep fake technology, later proven fake, but realistic. Of course I got pregnant on purpose, the fake Sarah said. I researched which families had money. Gasps erupted around the room. Marcus, he is fine. A little weak, but easy to manipulate. I jumped to my feet. That is not real. That is not me. Vivian stood, mock concern on her face. Sarah, darling, calm down. Someone made that. It is fake. Blair, playing her part, said, it came from your therapist's office, Sarah. The metadata shows I have never been to therapy. This was the moment. Marcus stood but did not immediately defend me. He paused, looking at the screen, then at me. Sarah, is that really not you? I let devastation show on my face. Even my husband doubts me. The room watched. Phones recorded. Vivian's smile grew. I walked toward the exit. Sarah, don't leave, Vivian called out. We have not had cake yet. I stopped. Turned. Fuck your cake. 400 people gasped. A pregnant woman just cursed at her mother-in-law in public. Vivian's face went red. This was it. The trigger. Vivian stormed toward the cake table. She grabbed the bottom tier of the 6-tier wedding cake. How dare you speak to me that way? She screamed. I backed up, hands raised. Mrs. Whitmore, stop! She charged at me with the cake, not playfully, violently. The cake smashed into my face with brutal force. The metal serving platter underneath hit my nose. I heard the crack, felt blood mixing with frosting. Then I was falling. I landed hard on the marble floor, hands protecting my belly. Pain shot through my body. I screamed, the baby! Oh God, the baby! I felt wetness spreading. Blood or amniotic fluid or both. 400 people stood frozen. Someone yelled to call 911. Blair kept filming. Vivian stood over me, breathing hard. She cursed at me. What was I supposed to do? Then came the silence. 10 full seconds where no one moved. No one breathed. And then Marcus transformed into someone I had never seen before. He stood to his full height. His face was carved from stone. His eyes were lethal. Everyone stay where you are, he said. His voice cut through the room like a blade. Marcus, she provoked me. Vivian started. Shut your mouth. Vivian actually stepped back. She had never heard him like this. Marcus knelt beside me. Rachel had rushed over. Get her medical attention now, Marcus said. Ambulance is 3 minutes out, Rachel said. Marcus cradled me. Stay with me, baby. Just stay with me. I looked up at him through tears and blood. Did we get it? We got everything. Rest now. Then Marcus stood and turned to the crowd. Someone handed him a microphone. I need everyone's attention. 400 people went silent. What you just witnessed was assault on a pregnant woman, caught on camera by dozens of you. Marcus, don't, Vivian said. For 6 months I have watched my mother torture my wife. I documented every incident. Tonight was the final piece. He pulled out a tablet and connected it to the screens. Let me show you the real video, not Blair's deep fake, which we already traced to the company Mother hired. The screens lit up with footage. 3 months of hidden camera recordings. Vivian dumping my food in the trash. Vivian telling staff to let me starve. Vivian on the phone saying, I will make that bitch miscarry if I have to. Vivian offering me $500,000 to leave. Vivian instructing Chloe to seduce Marcus. The room was horrified. People covered their mouths, some were crying. But physical abuse is not my mother's only crime, Marcus said. New images appeared on screen, bank records, transaction histories. For 8 years, Vivian Whitmore has been embezzling from the Whitmore Foundation, the charity my father built to help sick children. He showed the transactions. $2.4 million, fake vendors, inflated invoices, offshore accounts. Uncle James, do we have the votes? Marcus asked. Uncle James stood. We do. As of this moment, Vivian Whitmore is removed as board chair. All shares are frozen. All assets are frozen pending criminal investigation. You cannot do this, Vivian screamed. I am your mother. Marcus looked at her with no emotion. You tried to kill my child. You are nothing to me now. 2 men stood and showed badges. Vivian Whitmore, you are under arrest for assault with intent to harm, assault on a pregnant woman, embezzlement, fraud, and conspiracy. They read her Miranda rights as they handcuffed her. Vivian screamed as they dragged her away. Marcus, don't do this. I'm your mother. I don't have a mother anymore. Marcus said. Another detective approached Blair. Miss Whitmore, we need your phone, Bram. Evidence of conspiracy. You are under arrest as well. Blair looked at her mother being dragged out. Mom, tell them I was just following orders. Shut up, Blair, Vivian screamed before the door closed. Chloe stood. I am an attorney. I have documented evidence of Vivian Whitmore attempting to recruit me in conspiracy to commit adultery and defamation. I am prepared to testify. Vivian's last scream echoed through the ballroom. Then Marcus came back to me. Paramedics were loading me onto a stretcher. He knelt beside me. You were so brave. Did we win? We destroyed her. Good now, get this baby out of me. I think she is coming. In the ambulance, Rachel rode with us. Sarah, contractions? Every 2 minutes. Water definitely broke. The paramedic checked the monitors. Baby's in distress, heart rate dropping. We need to move fast. At the hospital, they rushed me to the operating room. Emergency cesarean section. The fall caused placental abruption, the doctor said. We need this baby out now or we lose her. Marcus, I said, terrified. I am right here, not leaving. They put me under. When I woke up, I heard crying. Not my crying, a baby crying. She is okay, the doctor said. 6 pounds, 4 ounces. Small, but healthy. They placed her on my chest, tiny and perfect and alive. Marcus was crying. She is perfect. We did it, I said. We protected her. You protected her. You are the strongest person I have ever known. Hope, I said. Her name is Hope. Hope Mitchell Whitmore, Marcus said. She gets both our names, both our strengths. I held my daughter and cried, not from pain, from relief, from victory, from joy. We had won. The media coverage was instantaneous and brutal. Society matriarch arrested for assaulting pregnant daughter-in-law at charity gala, screamed the headlines. The video went viral. 45 million views in 48 hours. It showed everything, the cake attack, the blood, Vivian being arrested while screaming, Marcus's cold declaration that he had no mother anymore. The hashtag Justice for Sarah trended #1 worldwide. Every news outlet covered the story. The embezzlement, the systematic abuse, the deep fake video, the attempted bribery. All of it came out. Vivian was denied bail, flight risk with substantial resources. She faced 25 to 40 years in prison. Blair took a plea deal. She testified against her mother in exchange for probation and community service. Her Instagram account was permanently banned. She lost all her followers, all her sponsors, her apartment, and her husband filed for divorce. Within 1 week, Vivian's entire life collapsed. Every charity board removed her immediately. The country club revoked her membership. Former friends publicly distanced themselves. Society columnists wrote think pieces about privilege and abuse. The Whitmore name became synonymous with cruelty. All of Vivian's accounts were frozen. The estate was seized pending restitution. Offshore accounts were traced and frozen. Marcus filed a civil lawsuit for $75 million for assault, emotional distress, and attempted harm to his child. He became board chair of the company and immediately implemented new policies. Zero tolerance for harassment. He donated $5 million to foster care organizations in my name. He renamed the foundation after his father, removing Vivian's name completely. 6 months later, we sat in a courtroom for the trial. The prosecutor laid out the case methodically. This is about a wealthy, privileged woman who believed she was above the law, who tortured a pregnant woman because she did not approve of her son's choice, who stole from charity while playing philanthropist. The video evidence was devastating. The jury watched Vivian dump my food, instruct staff to starve me, plot with Blair to create the deep fake. They saw her assault me with the cake. Rachel testified about the medical documentation showing how stress from Vivian's abuse nearly killed the baby. 3 former household staff members testified. Mrs. Whitmore gave specific instructions to make Sarah's life miserable. Chloe testified about Vivian's attempt to recruit her to seduce Marcus. The private investigator testified about the $2.4 million in embezzlement. Blair testified as part of her plea deal, though her testimony was barely credible. Marcus testified. I watched my mother try to destroy the woman I love. I will never forgive myself for not acting sooner. Then I took the stand. The prosecutor asked me to tell the jury what I endured. I held baby Hope in my arms as I spoke. Every day for 6 months, I was told I was not good enough, that I did not belong, that I was trash. I could have handled that. But when she tried to hurt my baby, when she told me to leave my child, that is when I knew she had to be stopped. I am not vindictive, I continued, but I want her in prison so she can never do this to another woman, another family. I grew up in foster care. I know what it is like when no one protects you. I will not let that happen to anyone else. The defense cross-examined me. Isn't it true you deliberately provoked Mrs. Whitmore at the gala? I cursed, I said. She violently assaulted me. Are you suggesting those are equal? The jury nodded. Then Vivian took the stand against her attorney's advice. Why did you assault Sarah Whitmore, the prosecutor asked. She cursed at me in public. I was defending my dignity. By smashing her face into a cake so hard you broke her nose? It was an accident. The prosecutor played the video showing the force Vivian used. That is an accident? Vivian was losing control. She was trying to steal my son. Your son married her. She did not steal anything. She got pregnant on purpose. Even if true, which it is not, does that justify assault? Vivian screamed, that orphan trash does not deserve to be in my family. The jury gasped. Several jurors looked disgusted. The prosecutor smiled. Thank you, Mrs. Whitmore. No further questions. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Vivian collapsed when they read the verdict. At sentencing, the judge allowed me to give a victim impact statement. I stood with Hope in Marcus's arms. Vivian, you tried to break me. You almost killed my daughter, but you failed. I hope you spend every day in prison thinking about what you could have had, a relationship with your granddaughter, and chose to throw away. I forgive you because holding hate would make me like you, but I will never forget. The judge sentenced Vivian to 25 years total, 10 for assault on a pregnant woman, 15 for embezzlement, consecutive sentences, no parole eligibility for 15 years. She would be 73 before she could even apply for parole. As they led her away, she screamed for Marcus one last time. He turned away, holding me and Hope. The door closed. It was over. 2 years later, our life looked completely different. We bought a house in the suburbs. Nothing ostentatious, but beautiful. 4 bedrooms, a backyard with a swing set, a home office for me. Hope was 2 years old now, toddling everywhere, laughing constantly, completely unaware of the darkness that had surrounded her arrival. I started the Hope Foundation with the money from our civil lawsuit settlement. We provided legal assistance to single mothers dealing with abusive families, full custody support, restraining orders, housing assistance. In our first year, we helped 250 women. Marcus worked from home 3 days a week. He coached Hope's toddler soccer team. He learned to make pancakes shaped like animals. He was the father he never had. Rachel came over for dinner one evening. She watched Hope chase bubbles in the backyard. How is the foundation coming? She asked. We just hired our 10th full-time attorney, I said. We are expanding to 3 more cities next year. I am proud of you, Rachel said. I had good teachers. The doorbell rang. The mailman had a certified letter. I signed for it and looked at the return address, Blair Whitmore. I had not heard from her in 2 years. She had served her probation, completed her community service, and disappeared from public life. Last I heard, she was working at a retail store and living in a small apartment. I opened the letter. Dear Sarah and Marcus, I know I do not deserve forgiveness. I am writing to say I completed my community service. I am in therapy. I am working on being a better person. Not for you, you owe me nothing. But maybe someday, years from now, if Hope wants to know about her aunt, I will be someone worth knowing. Love, Blair. Marcus read over my shoulder. Should we respond? Not yet, maybe never, but I will keep it. That evening, the news played in the background while I made dinner. The anchor's voice caught my attention. Vivian Whitmore, the society matriarch imprisoned for assault and embezzlement 2 years ago, has died in custody. Apparent suicide. She was 60 years old and had served 2 years of her 25-year sentence. Marcus turned off the television. Should we feel something? I asked. Do you? Relief, I said honestly, that she can never hurt anyone else. Then that is enough. Hope came running into the kitchen. Mama, where is Grammy? She meant Vivian, though she had never met her. Some kids at her playgroup had grandmothers who picked them up. You have so many people who love you, sweet girl, I said. Daddy, me, Auntie Rachel. That is your family. Okay, Hope said and ran off to play. Marcus pulled me close. Will we ever tell her? When she is old enough to understand that some people are toxic and that it is okay to protect yourself. Later that night, after Hope was asleep, I stood in our living room looking at the photo wall. New wedding photos from the small ceremony we had held on our first anniversary, just us and Rachel and Uncle James, Hope's first birthday party, the grand opening of the Hope Foundation, Marcus coaching soccer, our family at the beach last summer. No photos of Vivian, no photos of Blair, just the family we had built. People often asked if I regretted how things ended, if I was sad about Vivian's death, if I wished things were different. I did not. She made her choices. She chose cruelty over kindness, control over love, pride over family, and when she faced consequences, she could not handle it. I built a new life from the ashes of her hatred. I found my strength in the place she tried to break me. Marcus came up behind me and wrapped his arms around me. What are you thinking about? How far we have come. We should go to bed. Hope will be up at 6 demanding pancakes. I laughed. Animal-shaped pancakes. She will accept nothing less. I'm getting pretty good at giraffes, Marcus said. We turned off the lights and headed upstairs. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. The foundation had 3 new cases. Hope had her first dance class. Normal family life. The kind of life I had dreamed about when I was a lonely kid in foster care. The kind of life I had fought so hard to protect. As I fell asleep that night, I thought about all the women I had met through the foundation. Women who were told they were not good enough, that they did not belong, that they should accept abuse because they had nowhere else to go. I thought about what I would tell them if I could speak to all of them at once. You are enough. Your worth is not determined by anyone's approval. If someone tries to destroy you, document everything. Build your case, gather your allies. And when the time comes, destroy them first, completely. Because you deserve to be safe. You deserve to be loved. You deserve a family that chooses you every single day. I survived foster care, poverty, and a monster who tried to break me. And I did not just survive. I won. 10 years after that night at the gala, I stood at a podium addressing 500 people at the Hope Foundation annual fundraiser. Hope, now 12 years old, sat in the front row between Marcus and Rachel. She wore a dress she had picked out herself and braces that made her self-conscious when she smiled. But she was smiling now, proud of her mom. 10 years ago, I was assaulted while pregnant at a charity gala, I said. That night could have destroyed me. Instead, it became the catalyst for helping thousands of women escape abusive situations. I looked out at the crowd, donors, volunteers, women we had helped who now helped others. The Hope Foundation has provided legal assistance to over 5,000 families. We have helped secure restraining orders, custody arrangements, and safe housing for mothers and children fleeing abuse. We have partnered with law enforcement to prosecute abusers and protect victims. I paused. But more than the numbers, I want to tell you about Maria, who is here tonight. Maria was told by her husband's family that she was not worthy of being a mother. They tried to take her children through false CPS reports and manipulated court filings. We helped her fight back. Today, Maria has full custody and is finishing her nursing degree. Maria stood and waved. The room applauded. I want to tell you about Jennifer, who was financially abused by her in-laws. They controlled every dollar she spent, used money to manipulate and isolate her. We helped her gain financial independence. Today, Jennifer runs her own business and is teaching financial literacy to other women. More applause. These stories are not unusual. Abuse does not always look like violence. Sometimes it looks like control, isolation, psychological warfare, making someone feel worthless until they believe it. I looked at Hope. She gave me a thumbs up. I was lucky. I had resources I did not even know I had. a husband who chose to believe me and fight with me, a mentor who taught me to document everything, a legal system that, for once, worked the way it was supposed to. But so many women do not have that luck. That is why this foundation exists, to be the resource they need, to be the voice that says you are not crazy, you are not overreacting, and you deserve better. The crowd stood and applauded. After the event, Hope ran up to me. "Mom, that was amazing." "You think so? You helped so many people. That is so cool." Marcus joined us. "Pizza to celebrate? Can we get the one with the stuffed crust?" Hope asked. "Obviously," Marcus said. As we walked to the car, Hope asked, "Mom, why did that lady at the gala hurt you?" We had told her age-appropriate versions of the story over the years, but she was getting older now, understanding more. "Because she thought she could control people through fear," I said. "She thought being wealthy and powerful meant she could treat people badly without consequences." "But there were consequences," Hope said. "Yes, there were." "Good." In the car on the way home, Hope fell asleep in the back seat. Marcus reached over and took my hand. "I was thinking about my mom today," he said quietly. "Yeah." Not missing her, just thinking about how different Hope's life is, how she will never know what it is like to be controlled or manipulated or made to feel small. "Because we broke the cycle," I said. "Because you broke the cycle. I just followed your lead. We did it together." When we got home, Marcus carried sleeping Hope inside. I tucked her into bed and kissed her forehead. Her room was filled with soccer trophies and art projects and books. A child who was loved and knew it. Downstairs, I made tea and sat on the couch. Marcus joined me. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if we had not fought back?" he asked. "Every day," I said. "She would have made my life so miserable I would have left. Or she would have succeeded in taking Hope from me. Or she would have moved on to her next victim. Instead, she died in prison." "Yes." "Do you feel guilty about that?" "No," I said honestly. "She made her choice. Prison was hard for her, being stripped of power and status. She could not live without those things. But that is not my responsibility." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "I used to wonder if I should have seen it sooner, if I should have protected you better." "You protected us when it mattered," I said. "And you believed me when I told you what I needed to do. That is everything." "I love you, Sarah Mitchell Whitmore." "I love you too." That night, I could not sleep. I went to my home office and opened my laptop. I had been writing something for weeks now. A memoir. My story. The publisher said it would help people. That women in abusive situations needed to see that resistance was possible. That victory was possible. I titled it "Breaking Monsters: How I Survived My Mother-in-Law from Hell." I read through the final chapter, the one about building a new life, about hope, about the foundation, about choosing happiness over hate. Then I wrote the final paragraph. "To every woman reading this who is being told she is not enough, I want you to know something. Your abuser is counting on your silence, on your shame, on your belief that you deserve this treatment. They are counting on you to stay small and scared and quiet. Don't give them that power. Document everything. Find your allies. Protect yourself and your children. And when the time is right, fight back with everything you have. You are stronger than you know. You are worthy of love and safety and peace. And you can win." I know because I did. And if an orphaned foster kid with nothing but determination and a will to protect her child can take down a billionaire's family, so can you. You are not alone. You are not powerless. You are enough. Now go prove it. I saved the document and closed my laptop. Tomorrow I would send it to my editor. But tonight I was just a woman who had survived something terrible and built something beautiful from the wreckage. I went back to bed and curled up next to my husband. Through the baby monitor, I could hear Hope breathing peacefully in her room. This was my victory. Not the trial or the sentencing or the money or the foundation. This quiet moment, this peaceful home, this safe family. This was what winning really looked like 15 years later. Hope stood at the entrance to Yale Law School. She was 22 years old now, about to start her first year. Marcus and I helped her move into her dorm room. She had chosen family law as her intended specialty. I want to help people like Mom helped people, she had said when she applied. Now, standing in her new room, she looked nervous and excited. You are going to do amazing things, I told her. I had good examples, she said. After we left, Marcus and I drove home in comfortable silence. We were in our 40s now. I had gray hairs I did not bother dyeing. Marcus had laugh lines around his eyes from 2 decades of smiling. Can you believe our baby is in law school, he asked. Yes, I said. I can. She has been training for this her whole life. Training? Watching us fight for justice. Watching us protect people who could not protect themselves. She learned that the law is a weapon and a shield, and she wants to wield both. She is going to change the world. She already has, just by existing, just by being proof that we won. That evening, I got a call from Maria, the woman I had mentioned at the fundraiser years ago. She had become the foundation's director after finishing her nursing degree and law degree. Sarah, you need to see this. She sent me a video, a young woman, maybe 25, speaking at a college. My name is Jennifer Collins. 5 years ago, my mother-in-law tried to destroy me. She manipulated, she lied, she used her money and power to make my life hell. But I read a book called Breaking Monsters by Sarah Mitchell Whitmore, and it taught me that I could fight back. With her foundation's help, I documented everything. I built my case and I won. Today, I have custody of my children, a career I love, and a restraining order that keeps my abusers away. I am not a victim. I am a survivor. And if I can do it, so can you. I watched the video with tears streaming down my face. She is using your playbook, Maria said, and it is working. That was the moment I realized the true scope of what we had built. It was not just a foundation, it was a movement. Women teaching other women to fight back, to document, to build their cases, to destroy their abusers before those abusers could destroy them. We had started something that would outlive us, something that would protect people we would never meet. Vivian Whitmore had tried to break one woman. Instead, she accidentally created an army. 20 years after the gala, I received a letter from Blair. She was 51 now, still in therapy, still working on herself. Dear Sarah, I know I have no right to ask this, but I am dying, cancer. 6 months, maybe less. I wondered if I could meet Hope once before I go. Not to be her aunt, not to have a relationship, just to tell her I am sorry, that I was weak when I should have been strong, that her mother is the bravest person I have ever known. I understand if the answer is no. Love, Blair. I showed the letter to Hope. She was 27 now, a practicing attorney, recently married to someone wonderful. What do you think? I asked. Hope was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I think people deserve the chance to apologize, even if they do not deserve forgiveness. You want to meet her? I want to hear what she has to say, for closure. Not for her, for me. So we arranged a meeting, a coffee shop, 1 hour. Blair looked small and sick and nothing like the glamorous influencer who had once terrorized me online. She cried when she saw Hope. You look just like your mother, Blair said. I am told I have her strength too, Hope said. You do, and your father's sense of justice. They talked for an hour. Blair apologized. Hope listened. There was no reconciliation, no relationship, just closure. As we left, Blair said, Thank you for letting me say I am sorry. I did not do it for you, Hope said. I did it for me, because holding anger hurts me more than it hurts you. In the car, Hope said, She is pitiful. Yes, I agreed. I feel sorry for her. That is your choice. You are allowed to feel compassion even for people who hurt your family. Do you feel compassion for her? I thought about it. No, but I do not feel hate anymore either. I feel nothing. She is just a sad woman who made terrible choices and lived with the consequences. That is fair, Hope said. Blair died 3 months later. I did not go to the funeral. Neither did Marcus. Hope sent flowers with a card that said, May you find the peace you could not find in life. I am 60 years old now. Marcus is 66. We are grandparents. Hope has twin daughters who are the lights of our lives. The Hope Foundation has helped over 50,000 families in the past 30 years. We have offices in 12 states. We have trained over 200 attorneys. We have influenced legislation protecting victims of familial abuse. But more importantly, we have taught women that they do not have to accept cruelty, that they can fight back, that they can win. I wrote 3 more books after Breaking Monsters. Each one became a bestseller. Each one gave more women the tools to escape abuse. I am speaking at a conference next week. 2,000 attendees, all survivors, all fighters. The title of my keynote is You Are Enough: How to Destroy Your Monsters and Build a Beautiful Life. Marcus jokes that I should retire, that we have done enough. But I cannot stop yet, because somewhere out there is a woman in a situation like mine, trapped, pregnant, scared, being told she is worthless by people who should love her. And she needs to know she can win. She needs to know her voice matters. She needs to know she is enough. So I will keep speaking, keep writing, keep fighting. Because Vivian Whitmore tried to destroy me and accidentally taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. When monsters attack, you do not curl up and take it. You document everything. You gather your allies. You build your case. And then you destroy them so completely they can never hurt anyone again. That is my legacy, not the money or the foundation or the books. My legacy is every woman who reads my story and thinks, if she can do it, so can I. My legacy is every child who grows up safe because their mother learned to fight. My legacy is a world where monsters face consequences and survivors become warriors. That is enough.